perfect. Yeah, you walk that walk, watch the Moscow clock. You're so picture perfect.
Welcome back, everybody, to Bravo Tea with the Stay-at-Home Mom. I'm Erica, and I'm ready to give you all the Bravo tea. I just have to say, before we start the episode, I am over winter time. I don't know where some of you are listening, but I'm in Delaware, and it's cold. And it snowed a lot this past weekend, and it's staying so cold that it's not melting. A couple weeks ago, when it was my birthday, we got some snow, but it was like light powdered type snow. And then it got warm enough for it to melt and the sun was out. So it basically melted away. This snow ain't going anywhere. It's thick, dense snow that's going to like linger on the side of the streets forever. You know, when it's like gets all brown and black and we're like, this isn't cute anymore. It's not a winter wonderland any longer. And it's so annoying to drive in. I hate it. I do have an SUV, thank goodness. But I'm ready for warm weather. I'm watching all these people on the TV. This is when I get in my like sad TV watching time because I also just like rewatched Selling the OC. I know I mentioned that a little on my last episode, so I like totally finished rewatching it. Curious when the next season's going to come out because it left us on a total cliffhanger with Alex Hall and Tyler, and I kind of forgot about that. And I just get really depressed right now watching TV when people are in like warm climates and I'm like looking outside and it's 10 degrees and there's a bunch of snow outside and I'm pale. I'm trying to work with the tanning mousse, I need to do it more because I hate also looking at myself pale for like a vain comment. I hate it. But can't do the tanning beds anymore like we once did in college and high school because that's probably why I have some of the sunspots on my face because I thought being tan was the only option of that. Because I feel like back then, the only self-tanner option was that like Jergens like lotion, which I used a couple times and my hands turned orange and it didn't give you a nice glow. So now we have advanced. I use like Bondi Sands tanning mousse. It kind of reminds me of like Saint-Tropez, the tanning mousse consistency and how it comes out because it does get me dark and I only have to use it like once a week. If I want to step up looking a little more bronze, do it like 2 times a week. But maybe I should just start doing it every day so I could look like I'm on a vacation like some of these people that we're watching or living in a warm climate. But we're going to dive into the recap of Southern Charm. I know I hate getting it out like days after it's premiered, but I mean, I can't do a podcast every single day. I feel like you guys will get tired of me. Twice a week is good. And sometimes once a week, depending on how much is happening in the Bravo universe too, because I feel like nothing earth-shattering is happening that I can report on along with this Southern Charm recap. So it's pretty much going to be a long-winded Southern Charm recap. And maybe I'll just talk about a little bit things at the end. So let's just dive right in. So we have somebody cleaning Miss Pat's chandelier with Windex. And I'm going to tell you right now, I wish someone came and cleaned my chandeliers with Windex all the time because those are probably one of the most annoying things to keep clean in the house. I feel like keeping up with dusting is a pain, but then the chandeliers. And like when I picked our light fixtures when we bought this house, like now it's been like 5.5 years we've been here. We totally redid everything. I didn't even think about like cleaning of the fixtures. I'm like, oh, these look pretty and nice. And there's like a lot of glass on it. So I'm like, yeah, you don't think about that when you pick things out. But Taylor is meditating with her dog and she is saying that we need to not fixate on hubbub. And then she said, I need to know what hubbub means. And I don't understand where all these Bravo celebrities grew up like under a rock, especially on the Real Housewives of New Jersey, which I would think they would totally know all those sayings and idioms or whatever, because it's always like Teresa, Melissa being like, oh, what does that mean or what? And I'm like, how do they not know what that like very common saying is? Like, how does Taylor Ann not know what hubbub means that I feel like would be used in Charleston? I don't know. I was just like, oh my God. That's when I get like mad at these people too. I'm like so brain dead. But JT and Craig meet for lunch and they're talking all about the alleged info that JT called Miss Pat a bitch. I couldn't help but notice like what is happening with JT's giant gash cut on his arm. And does anyone else notice the whole time when they're having this conversation, which this happens frequently on reality TV, that I now, since I've watched so much reality TV and I'm trying to pay close attention so I can report all the things back on here. But during their conversation, the drinks are full and then they're empty and then they're full again and then they're like half full. So they're going back and forth editing all of this together, which is why sometimes we go, oh, this is fake. Well, it's not fake. They're probably just doing a lot of useless chatter. So we need to edit it up and piece it together. But then what you hope is that they're not editing it to go a certain way, which sometimes these Bravo celebrities have come out and said that. Like Sheena has often said, whoever did the editing at one point on Vanderpump Rules did not like Sheena. So they were editing her to make her look bad and sad and desperate. I feel like this is when she was like with Rob, the TV era, and like buying Adam that penguin. They did. I mean, whether that was editing or not, because I also feel like Sheena was just desperate with them, they made her look real bad. So I do understand that the way they can piece and edit these conversations together really could go a certain way. But Craigie is just on thin ice, I feel like, with Austen. I feel like Austen is pretty chill, but I'm wondering if the roles were reversed, if Craig would be really upset with Austen for even partaking in this lunch with JT. And watching the whole season, all I'm thinking about is Craig and Paige are now broken up and JT is going to leave before it's even done. So we always have to keep that in the back of our brain too. So Molly is just walking around with her dog, and Shep drives by and just coincidentally sees her, aka this is totally set up. And he went, "Oh, I didn't know that was you. Why don't I pull over? We haven't had a chat in a while." And I'm like, that is so random. All right. So Shep is just talking about his relationship. And Molly said technically she could be Shep's daughter. But she said that's like a Southern thing, like older man, younger girl. And they don't question things. But I feel like that also really sounds like a Los Angeles, Beverly Hills thing for sure. Like, good to know that that's a Southern thing as well, because that's totally like just a LA thing. That's where my brain goes. So now I need to like go down in Charleston and spy. I guess some young ladies are like riding around with old men down there. But Shep is just, I'm confused about this relationship. I don't know if he wanted to try and go just total opposite of Taylor. He's going even younger than Taylor. I feel like that's not good for him. Like, I feel like if he wants a serious relationship, he needs to find someone that's just a little bit older. I'm not saying you have to be the same age, because I have an age gap between my husband and I, and men just naturally are more immature than women. Sorry to any of the men listening right now, but they just are. And I just feel like him going younger is not going to be longevity positive for Shep. Maybe he's not really looking for longevity, but I feel like he's telling himself he is. So I don't know if that's what this is. But Taylor went over to Rodrigo's house for dinner. Rodrigo and his partner made a lovely little dinner. I like them. Like, they're entertaining to me. I'm glad we're seeing more of Rodrigo, because I feel like last year we really didn't, but I'm glad we're seeing his partner too, because I feel like there's like probably fun, interesting stories, and they just have like a nice little relationship, and I like seeing more into their life. But she's just asking why Salley would be trash talking and like Gaston. Now, from what we've heard thus far, and I don't watch Southern Hospitality, I don't really like Gaston. He's not that much of a looker, as Madison and Salley are saying. And Paige was like, "Oh, he's cute," and they were like, "No, you're like being nice." But I don't know how much Taylor can say this season from how she acted and what she did last season. I mean, she's not getting any sympathy votes from me over here, so I don't really know what she thinks is going to happen in this group. And I'm wondering if we have longevity with her on the show that much more, or if she'll just kind of go on a Southern Hospitality. Because as I've said before, you can tell there's like almost two groups. Like, we got like the OGs, and not even necessarily the OGs, but like the strong cast figures, which are like Craig, Austen, Shep, Madison. And they are kind of allowing Salley and Molly to be in that realm right now. So I feel like Taylor, Rodrigo, JT, Venita, definitely Leva, are like a second string option. And they're not invited to everything. And we're not really having solo scenes with them or care to, especially um, Leva. I mean, I guess it's because she has Southern hospitality now, but like she might as well just not even be on this show. And I think we're on our way out with Venita as well. But we're finally seeing Austen's girlfriend. She's super cute. He's bringing her home. I love that. His mom is just saying, everyone always asks me when I'm going to have grandkids. And Audrey said, well, I want 4. I just want like a big family. And I love that they're having this little like happy hour. And I love that Austen is getting serious. Hopefully he doesn't screw this up. Hopefully JT is just flapping his mouth and barely knows what he's talking about, and Leva about overlapping with Audrey. But also, the only thing I can maybe say is maybe him and Audrey met. He was already like hooking up with someone, but he really liked Audrey. And then when it got committed and serious with Audrey, it was like, all right, you're the only one now. So I feel like there's more to that story because Austen seems really happy, and him bringing her home obviously means something serious. But then in the middle of this, Madison calls, and only on reality TV is it acceptable that your ex-girlfriend calls while you're in the middle of having a happy hour with your current girlfriend and your parents, like literally. So she was just talking about JT and Craigie going to lunch. So she's trying to be the messenger to get Austen a little fired up. And just they're all going to be reunited again at Sally's little housewarming party. So she is making the big bucks, making $400,000 a year. She said she was done paying for an apartment, looked at this house, and she's like, I'll take it. She's like, I don't really know how to do that. She was just like walked through and she's like, yep, that's good. I love her setup for the party. She's got an oyster shucking station. It's got a little live entertainment with guitar. My husband and I love music, so love to see that little live entertainment. Just like a good, like seafood, Southern type backyard little party. I love that. So, other interesting fact about her. So, she was engaged to somebody 25 days before the wedding. She got a DM saying her soon to be husband had been cheating on her. And she's like, thank God for whoever saved her. She said, thank God. But then I was saying, thank God from whoever saved her from that shitstorm. Because, I mean, sometimes you hate the other person, but if they're doing the Lord's work and doing that for you, then you can't be mad at them. You got to be mad at your partner at the end of the day for cheating. Like, I always hate when people are like, oh, the other woman. It's like, yeah, I mean, if the other woman or other man, we can say, is willingly hooking up with someone and they know that that person is married or engaged, that's not very nice. But I'm going to point more of the problem to the person you're actually with, because if it wouldn't be that girl or guy, it'd be somebody else. So thank God. And it seems like she's doing just great. And she's dating that guy that has all the tails to Taylor. I mean, basically at this point, they should have like a combined joint wedding. And they've probably kissed each other's soon to be husbands at this point. But Craig's just FaceTiming Paige before he gets to Sally's house, saying that he has to have a little convo with Austen about the podcast. So Craig at the party wastes no time telling Austen, oh yeah, when I had lunch with JT, he asked me to go fishing with him. And it's like, I just like flabbergasted if the shoe, like I said, was on the other foot. Would Craig be flipping out at Austen? I personally think he would be. And if I was Austen, I'd be flipping out a little bit. I mean, I get that the show makes you do things with people. So if this was real life, I mean, it is real life, but you know what I mean? If there were no cameras there, I think Austin would be like, you literally don't need to see and speak to JT. You don't need to go to lunch with him. And you sure as shit don't need to go fishing with him unless you intend to push him off the boat on my behalf, Soprano style. But since they are on a show, I think Austin isn't getting as mad as he would because maybe even off camera, Craig's like, well, the producers like wanted me to meet JT for lunch. So what am I supposed to do, Austen? So I could see that part, but I really don't know if he needs to go fishing with him. But this is when Craig says, how much would I have to pay you to own pillows and beer? And I'm just like, what on earth? It's just like, I don't know why you think pillows and beer can just be yours. Like maybe just branch out and do your own podcast, like sewing down something. You know what I mean? Like do it just you, and then maybe still do pillows and beer, and or pillows and beer will fade out. But like the fact that he wants to overtake and kick Austen out of something they did together, that doesn't sit well with me. And I don't really like that. Then like a little drama with like Taylor. Sally's like, oh, Taylor like come to my party and like hasn't even come up to me and said hi. And then like 5 seconds later, she's like, hey, Salley, thanks for inviting me to your party. And they finally do kind of have like a talk about the whole Gaston thing. And she said, I just don't trust you. Like Gaston is probably a shithead. And Taylor's trying to say he's a good person. And I don't know about that. Like, you know what I mean? She's probably like, I don't have a good taste in my mouth about Gaston anymore because he's my ex. And now you're with him. So I really don't want to be around him. But then again, I'm questioning like your morals because if I think he's a bad person, then I'm going to automatically assume you're a bad person too. But then Venita like jumps in the pool and is low key drowning. But Craig wasted no time applying his old Delaware Beach life skills. Love to see it, represent. And he didn't even kick the fancy shoes off to save her. He just dived right in. And she's like, I really can actually swim. I just couldn't catch my breath. And I'm like, that means you can't swim. I wonder if she was like kind of drunk. That's what people were saying. But Molly arrives late because she was playing the tuba. And I just think it is so funny. Like maybe the tuba will be like cool because it never was. But Molly doesn't seem like a nerd. So I think it's funny that she plays the tuba. But Craig is just kind of like still honing in on Austen. And he's like, I'm like not interested in doing anything with you anymore because you're just too loose. And then Austen's like, well, you're wound too tight. And it is true. Craigie's like a little bit too much. He needs to not go back to the Adderall days, but he needs to just like take a chill pill. I do think this is almost like him thinking he totally has to act like this to be with Paige. And I think that's why Austen and Shep have reservations about all that. And they're always like questioning, oh, is this what you and Paige want to do or you? Because the whole sperm thing, I think Craig did that on his own. I highly doubt Paige was like, yeah, go freeze your sperm and do all that. Like Paige isn't thinking about that literally at all. She's really not thinking of a future, which is fine. But it's not fine when you're in a relationship with someone and they are focused on the future and longevity of it. And you're just like here for the good time. No, you could tell Craig just wants to get married, have kids, and that's fine. Paige doesn't want to. I feel she dragged this on too long, to be honest, because look where it got both of them. Maybe she doesn't care she has to start over again, but I think Craig's probably pissed. Like, he's obviously not going to say, oh, I wasted 3 years of my life because he did / probably does still love her and he had fun. But you don't want to spend 3 years in your 30s with someone if it's not going to end up this is your person. It's starting all over again. And I just really need to know confirmation if she is dating Joe D'Amelio. We still don't know. I feel like that has died down a little, but I don't know. I don't think she'd be going to the Philadelphia Eagles game in the cold if they were just friends. Just my 2 cents and honesty. I do think there's probably something there. Since my last podcast that I've talked about this, Joe D'Amelio's ex fiance did come out and kind of tweet something. Let me see while I'm talking if I can find it and like read it verbatim because it was pretty intense what she said. And she was basically like alluding to the reason they broke up was Paige. Oh, here it is. Regarding what's been out there this past week during my relationship, disrespectful messages were sent to a man who was spoken for. So she's talking about Joe D'Amelio. With absolutely no regard or respect for another woman or her relationship, meaning herself. Insinuating for him to leave me for her. As my relationship went on, the banter continued, and I was purposely made to feel insecure, and my relationship was undermined. As someone who holds themselves to such a high standard and claims to be a girl's girl, her actions contradict this. I had the courage to leave a toxic situation, and as a girl's girl myself, I'll continue to lift other women up and their relationships up, not try to tear them down for my own good. I refuse to have anyone lie on my name and write their own false narratives about my life. It is what it is. I wish everyone the best. So her name is Rachel Durante. And I feel like she is talking about Paige because Paige does always claim to be a girl's girl. So this is really hinting at Paige sending disrespectful DMs to Joe D'Amelio. But I'm wondering all the meanwhile, Paige had to be with Craig during this time because the dust barely settled and they're at the Eagles game. I mean, yes, that was kind of like weeks later. So what? Paige came out with that podcast like January 30th. Or I mean December 30th. My goodness, I'm sorry. It's literally not even January 30th yet. December 30th, so right before New Year's Eve. But she was like still together with Craig for Christmas. So that was terrible too. So she had to be sending these DMs. I'm not sure when exactly Joe D'Amelio and his ex-fiance broke up, but I do feel like there was some overlapping, allegedly, with Paige and Craig, and obviously this woman is alluding to overlapping in her relationship with the DMs. Yeah, he was probably like shrugging it off like, oh, we're just friends. And Paige is basically saying that once she went to that Eagles game with him, like, oh, I'm going to be outside a lot, get used to it. Or like, God, can't even go outside with friends. She never really said friends, though. She just can't go outside anymore. I mean, any male that she's going to be with kind of in a more alone setting, we're obviously going to start questioning, oh, is this like her new boyfriend or is she dating this guy? Because let's be real. People always are like, oh, guys and girls can be friends. It's like, not really when you're adults. Really, not really, especially when you're married. Like, I'm not going to dinner alone with a guy friend. My husband would be like, you're cheating on me and that's your secret boyfriend. Like, that's just, it's not, no. It's just a group setting, totally different. Like, oh, hey, like, let's go meet my like friend from high school and catch up. But like, he's going to bring his wife and I'm going to bring you, my husband, and maybe there'll be other people there too. Like, yeah, in that case, yes, you can socialize with a boy that was your friend and or is still sometimes your friend, but there are just lines, and I'm just curious to see what's going to come of this because I feel like it's like a Kyle Morgan Wade thing. Like, I definitely do think she had a relationship with Morgan Wade. I always circle back to this, I know, when I compare things. But the fact that Kyle thinks we're all stupid, like, just because it's the same sex, I feel like she's like, oh, we could get away with we're just like friends because we're both girls. It's like, no, you're doing too much like alone things together that are like taking up all your life and all your time, that like you're now sacrificing time with your husband and like daughters, that it's just not adding up, that it seems relationship-esque. So I don't know, we shall see, but I hope Craig and Paige both move on. It would be really interesting to see Paige and Jesse Solomon hook up. I don't think Paige would. I feel like she has never really dabbled with that except Carl in Summer House. So speaking of that, I just can't wait. We have a couple weeks to go and we're going to have Summer House premiere, thank God, on my husband's birthday. Like, I'll probably be forcing him that night to watch it. But it's just because I need to see Carl and Lindsay interact. He'll probably be like, I've been curious about this interaction as well. It's not keeping him up at night, but he'll probably want to see them share a house because that's juicy. Like, even people that don't normally watch Summer House, I feel like they'll possibly be tuning in just to see two exes share a house. It's kind of like an MTV vibe. You know what I mean? I feel like they're like X on the beach and like stuff like that. It's like X in the Hamptons. Let's see, what else do we got? We have the reunion for the Real Housewives of New York coming up. So I'm going to try, and the Bravo Babe and I have to do our monthly check-in at the end of this month. So I was just DMing her before I sat down to record the podcast. So I don't know if we'll try and record maybe like this weekend or next week. So, but we'll definitely talk about the reunion for New York, whether it's next week or this weekend. But I can't wait to see how all the ladies interact because they've all watched the whole season. I feel like they all did a lot of shit talking. So I just watched like the preview. Bravo just put out the little trailer for it, and Jessel was like, "You don't understand the pain I had to go through sitting with Pavitt, and he thought I was lying." And she's talking to Bryn, and then she's like, "I'm sorry." And she's like, "No, F you." So I feel like Jessel is talking about when Bryn was bringing up that she said she was like in love with someone more than Pavitt. And that is like shitty. Like, I feel like Bryn just doesn't realize just because she doesn't have a significant other or kids. Yeah, Bryn, I'm going to say it, that she doesn't realize how damaging things can be. Like, she's just like flapping her mouth for drama and for storyline and chatter on the show when it can be damaging to these people forever. Like, the Real Housewives of New York could not even exist by next year, and the way everyone rags on it, maybe it won't. And then maybe Pavitt and Jessel will get divorced because you said that. It's going to be interesting. I feel they've already fallen apart and relationships have imploded already. And they're only like, this was their second season filming together. So I really don't know where some of them will go from here or where we'll go as a whole as that show from here. It's just like Jersey. I still don't know. I feel like that was a little bit of low budget tea that was posted a couple weeks ago saying they're going to totally recast the whole show because I feel like we would be hearing it out of Andy Cohen's mouth. I feel like the housewives would be coming forward and saying that they're going to be sad that they're going to be on the show. And they've all said, and Andy's even said, it's real hard to cast that show. So I don't know if we're wiping the slate clean after Jennifer Aydin's little mishap with Jersey Mike's. Probably not going to see her again, which then concludes me to always say we're probably not going to see Teresa. I could see her getting a spinoff with the daughters. And justice for Juicy Joe. Like, let's get some Bravo cameras over in the Bahamas. Like the Judices Take the Bahamas. Do like a short spinoff. I don't know. Or just like have camera people there for him all the time. I mean, I want to watch that man so badly back on TV permanently because he's so entertaining. I mean, I love his TikToks with the daughters because they're always visiting him. And you never know. Maybe President Trump will pardon him and he can come back in the country. You never know. But I would love to see him back on Bravo. It would be great. Even if like they had Teresa and Louis go visit him because they have before. Like send her over there. That's what I mean. A spinoff with Teresa could be interesting. And then that's how we could still see Jennifer Aydin. So I feel like that could be something where everyone's happy. Like we'll leave Melissa on the regular show. We'll give Teresa her own show, so we still see her. So for the people that like Teresa, she's not gone. And for the people that like Melissa, she's not gone either. And then we'll still see people. I want to see Kim D back on the show since they're friends again. I feel like this could be good because then this way, like Teresa could be having fun and Melissa can be having fun because I like them both when they're having fun. I'm tired of seeing them argue. I'm tired from both of it. It's like children. Like, I'm mad at both of you. I'm punishing both of you. So let's maybe just think about that, resonate on that, end the episode with thinking about that. Like, how would all of you guys feel if we did that? Then it would be like best of both worlds. We're getting to still see everyone. And like I said, I would love the camera appearance from Juicy Joe.
Yeah, you walk that walk, watch the Moscow clock. You're so picture perfect.